Hey, just want to say thanks to everyone who joined us this past weekend for our gratitude event. We had a great time. A couple of things that we were able to do is record some of the sessions, and we wanted to share them with you. I whittled it all down under half an hour, compressed of like 4 hours of time, so you're welcome. So we start off with a little bit of some words from Mark and Tiffany, our new members to the team. We go over a little bit, including a summer recap and a highlight video. And then we have a couple of summer staff being able to share some of their stories. We conclude hinting a little bit about upcoming capital project. It's kind of the next step in what we need to do at Camp Nakamun. So check it out, and hopefully you can watch through it and be encouraged and excited for what's happening.
This is one of those things that I have to have gratitude for. So this was my view when I stepped out of Lower Heritage or Lower Outlook, where I spent the night for the last couple nights. And anytime you get to wake up to something like that is a good morning. So for me, for those of you who don't know my story, I come from an engineering background. I worked 16 years as a consultant in oil and gas. And coming to Nakamun has been, in some ways, an answer to prayers. I needed a bit of a change, and so I'm thrilled to be here and to get to minister and do ministry with a wonderful group of people.
And we have so much to be grateful for. But what I got to talk about really quickly, and I'm going to do it in the form of an interview, is why I love my role so much. And the reason I love my role so much is because I get to hang out with young adults and see their leadership grow. And there's actually a couple in the crowd today, which is really, really cool. So one of the leaders that has been blossoming in our community recently is Chelsea Wilson. Oh, come on up, Chelsea. I don't think it's on yet. Chelsea's been around camp now for about 6 years. Yeah, just hold that. And her family also has a long history of helping out at camp. And I remember I met your grandfather in like 2003, I think, when he used to actually do a woodworking program for our junior high camps. And it was really, really cool. As you're leaving today, also the antelope, the pronghorn antelope that is in the lobby was donated in memory of him, actually. So, super cool. So, a couple questions for you, Miss Chelsea Wilson. We're going to do this just instead of, the normal testimony, just an interview. So, tell me, what is your favorite part of camp?
Is this working? Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I love the most about camp is just like the people and the community that camp fosters. The relationships are everything.
Awesome. Can you share a highlight from last summer?
Yes. Well, I have a lot, but I had to pick one. So I think after the night game on one of the weeks, I think it was like week 5 or something, I decided to take my girls star tipping. And for those of you who don't know what that is, basically you take them to the field in the dark and you have a flashlight and you make them look up at the stars and spin around as fast as they can for like 20 seconds or something like that. And then you turn the flashlight on at the other end of the field and make them run to you. And so it's really funny to watch them all, but they were like giggling and having the best time, and it was midnight. And so that was probably a highlight.
Nice. How have you seen God use Camp Nakamun to grow you as a leader?
Well, when I started at camp, I was 15. I was a little scared to be myself and like show people like my silly or like crazy side. I think God used camp to show me where my identity is, and that's in Jesus, and step outside of my shell. Through camp ministry, I have had to set aside my personal anxieties and recognize that it isn't really about me. The kids are my priority when I'm out here, and so I've made conscious decisions to do things that I'm not always the most comfortable with, like song and dance performances or crazy things like that. Love those. And then, anything to like create an awesome memory. and God uses things like that to speak to kids, and it's really cool to see like the conversations I've had about like confidence and where your identity lies just through like them watching how I am at camp.
Awesome. What are you thankful for about Camp Nakamun?
I'm thankful for the community where everybody can come, feel loved, and like just kind of accepted and comfortable to be themselves.
Nice. And how do you think that your time at Nakamun will have prepared you for your once you're past your current situation in school?
There's a lot of life skills that I've learned out of camp, or like have like grown and gotten better. I would say through like spring staff, summer staff, cleaning, operating activities, pretty much like a lot of things, hospitality, interacting with guests, any odd jobs that Luke likes to give us. I've been taught patience, hospitality I mentioned, communication and conflict management from living in a room with 6 other girls, problem solving, the value of flexibility, how to mentor, the art of being like selfless and sacrificial.
Awesome.
Cool.
See, it wasn't that bad, was it? Good job.
I'm only shaking a little bit.
You know, I know for me, camp has had a big influence on who I've become over the past 23 years. It's played a part in my life in developing me as a leader and as a person. And I'm sure that that would be true for a lot of the people in this room. And I'm sure for all of the year-round staff, that would be true in the way that Nakamun has helped shape them and develop them over the years. And so it's really cool the way that this place gets to be this really amazing experience for these kids, but also develop and make leaders and raise up, the next generation of church leaders, the next generation of school teachers, of social workers that have this heart for God and a love for others. And so it was really exciting to see this summer us be able to get back out here. We had 49 paid seasonal staff out here again this summer. And in total, in the various roles and the junior positions and extra areas that people were serving, we had a total of 141 additional volunteers helping out here this summer. So God has moved as a result of Chelsea's time out here in her life. And I'm sure that if we were to bring up all of those other staff that I mentioned from this year or from years prior, I'm sure, like Luke mentioned, the testimonies could go on and on of the ways that God has been at work in their lives and has been using them in their circles of influence. And so it was just really nice, I would say, for all of us on staff to see this summer just be kind of back to a normal summer once again. So we were open last summer, but with like 1 month's notice, as all of the year-round staff can attest, it was a little bit crazy. So this summer, we got to get our feet under us a little bit more and get all the kids back out here. And in total, we had just shy of 1,200 campers out here this summer, so that was really exciting. And I know all of us staff, some people think that the loud craziness is too much, but for us, it's exciting and we love it. And we love having the kids out here. We love having the busyness and the noise. And so that was really life-giving to us out here. And although, the work of the Holy Spirit obviously can't be measured in a number, something that was really exciting to see measured this summer was we had 54 campers tell us that they gave their lives to Christ this summer. So that's really exciting. And we had 95 campers tell us that they made recommitments to follow God this summer. So that is a total of 149 lives that were changed that we know about. And I'm sure God was doing so much more work and planting so many more seeds than just in those 149 lives. And so it's really cool that we got to be a part of that. It's really cool to see that the way that the Holy Spirit is working and the things that he's doing. And that we get to be a part of that ministry.
Romans what? 16 what? 19 says. Romans what? 16 what? 19 says. Be excellent at what?
spilled upon the cross. How could it get much better than this? Much better than this. Vindicated in a steady blaze of light, forever in your light. Let your light shine through, illuminate the darkness. Flashes of grace surround us. I can't contain it, for you have called us to give out the love you gave us. Lift high the name of Jesus. We give it all to you. Come awaken us to your spirit. Open our hearts, Lord, pour it upon us. Oh, come awaken us to your spirit. Open our hearts, Lord. Open our hearts, Lord. Oh, come awaken us to your spirit. Open our hearts, Lord. Pour it upon us. Oh, come awaken us to your spirit. Open our hearts, Lord. Let your light shine through, illuminate the darkness. Flashes of grace surround us. I can't contain it, for you have called us to give out the love you gave us. Lift high the name of Jesus. We give it all to you. Let your light shine through, illuminate the darkness. Flashes of grace surround us. I can't contain it, for you have called us to give out the love you gave us. Lift high the name of Jesus. We give it all to you.
So for me, I just actually started in my position as the director of ministries in May. And so I was still kind of trying to find my footing in my position this summer and still, get my feet under me. And so I was really grateful for the staff that we had out here that knew what they were doing and were veterans. And so another staff that, has been out here for 6 years and we're really grateful to have on the team is Micah. So you can welcome up Micah. And so I'm sure Micah probably has some stories. He's always got stories, if you know Micah. He's a great storyteller. So, Micah, would you share with us maybe some ways of how you saw God at work this past summer? So what is a way that you saw God at work, maybe in yourself or in the campers in this place this summer?
Yeah, one big one was, it was during one of our grades 4 to 6 camps, and the week was just not going well. My devos were not going well with the kids. They were just very non-responsive and didn't seem to be interested and not catching on. So I was very discouraged. And I remember the week was just very draining. By the end of it, I was very, very tired. And I talked with a couple of the year-round staff. I think I talked to you about it once or twice, Luke. And and I did I felt that God told me that I should do one last devo with the kids, right before I sent them off on Friday. And I was a little confused because the week was just not going well with that. So I just said okay, and I pulled them all aside while the other kids were just going around and doing activities. And I just asked if any of them wanted to give their lives to Christ. And I had 4 kids put up their hands. And then I pulled them aside later and I prayed with each and every one of them. And it was just a huge testament to the fact that when we don't think we're making a difference or when we don't think God is moving, that he is. And that was super cool. And another one being, I got to be involved in our senior high camp program this summer, which is decently new. And I got a co-cabin lead with my buddy Wyatt. And it was just a blast of a week. God bless us with an incredible cabin of kids who were super responsive, very in the devos when we did it, they were talking all the time and asking questions and really wanted to go deep. And we did a testimony night. Chelsea was actually one of the seniors as well in that group, and we all did a testimony night. And all of us had campers come up and tell us how they thought our testimonies were super relatable and how they felt God was speaking to them when we did it. And even just through the worship night, Wyatt and I were able to pull all of our kids aside separately and pray for them, and they were just so grateful and the work we saw God doing them. And by the end of that week as well, we had 4 of our senior high kids in Wise Mind Cabin recommit their lives to Christ, which was super cool.
That's awesome. What do you think your biggest highlight of the whole summer was?
Okay, it's definitely too long of a story to tell, but I'll give a
I'm also
I'll give a
kinda
quick
nervous now
I'll give a
about what he's
quick
gonna say.
version of it. It was like 30 degrees one week, and our cabin was so hot. So I remember like 7 o'clock in the morning, I went up to Brett, and I was just complaining to him about how hot it was and how I couldn't sleep, and I just like made a comment about how we should all sleep in the gym, and Brett was like, that would be a good idea. And so then that night we had like 4 of us guy cabins sleep in the gym. So there was like 30 campers and like 8 of us staff. There was like probably good like 40 to 60 of us in the gym. And it was probably just as hot because there were so many kids in there who were like breathing. And this was right after the night game, right? So they're all sweating, they're all hot, and they'd all drag their beds down there. But it was just like so fun. All the campers made like their little like groups and like beds in like the corners and stuff. And then Wyatt and I just kind of sat in the middle. We said that we were going to moderate, but it was really so that we could hang out and talk. Wyatt made the joke that everybody on staff thought we were doing this for the kids, but it was really just for the 2 of us to fulfill our childhood dreams. But so this year's night game involved glow sticks. And for some reason, all of the guy campers had like handfuls of glow sticks. Like there were so many glow sticks all over the gym. And as Wyatt and I were talking, we saw these kids like going around and like making deals. Well, I'll trade you 2 of my glow sticks, like my blue ones, if you give me like your green. And it was just so funny. Like they were going around making like business deals. It was hilarious. And so there was this group of kids in the corner who like ended up grabbing all the glow sticks as the kids would fall asleep. Like they would just like walk around the gym, and if they saw the kid was sleeping, they would just like pick it up and snag it. And so by like 1:30 in the morning, Wyatt and I were talking, and I kind of leaned over to him. Almost everyone's asleep, and I was like, where did all the glow sticks go? And he was just kind of like, I don't know, just kind of ignored it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, gotta be like 1:45 at this point, and we just see like this glow stick get chucked in the air. And then Wyatt was turned over, and I slapped him, and he turned over, and I was like, did you see that? He goes, no, what? And then boom, there goes another one. And for the next like 3 minutes, I kid you not, just one after another. There's like probably like 50 to 60 glow sticks that these kids just kept chucking. It was like the 2 kids, like everyone else was asleep. And so Wyatt and I like ran over and grabbed them all. And then like we chucked a couple back at them. And then eventually we started like waving the glow sticks at these 2 campers. And it went on for like 15 minutes. And then eventually Wyatt and I were like, we have to be adults. Like it's 2 o'clock. These kids are going to be exhausted tomorrow. We have to get them to bed. And so like we went over and told them to go to sleep. But it was just like so funny. And it was such a blast. It was definitely like the highlight of our summer for sure.
How would you say that you've personally grown in your time here?
Yeah, I think like over the last 6 years, there's definitely been like a lot of maturity that's been happening. Like a lot of personal growth in the fact of like taking responsibility, like ownership, especially in like my relationship with God, like how to make Him a priority in my life and how to trust Him through things.
Second is building relationships, and so that staff team is part of that. The other thing that is a major component to that is reestablishing relationships with our area churches, with our donors. A lot of that kind of human interaction hasn't been possible over the last couple of years, and we really want to be a part of our churches' communities. And so a big objective for us over the next few years is really to re-establish those relationships that have either been lost because of time or have just gone stale. And so that's a big focus for us. And then finally, and I want to, this is Pete's moniker, getting ahead of the wave. And so, I think things went pretty well during COVID in terms of maintenance and that sort of thing. But there is, a wave of deferred things that need to happen, and it's coming. So what we want to do is make sure that we are able to stay ahead of that and not let it sink us when it catches up. So, more broadly, that's kind of the local piece is just, getting ahead on that maintenance thing. But more broadly, it's important for us because we see this as a viewpoint towards improving our ability to plan in the long term so that we are acting as a leadership team from a place of proactivity more than reactivity. And, that reactive mode has kind of been the de facto mode for a couple of years because that was all that was possible. But getting back into that rhythm is going to be important. So those are the three major themes. We are still working on a more detailed strategic plan, which we will have hopefully by the early January. That has got a few more concrete steps in it, which are the things we'll take. So, so Dave mentioned in our budget we do have room for some capital work. So I wanted to invite Pete and Tiffany up. Yeah. So Dave mentioned in passing a new shop. Pete, tell us about the new shop.
The current shop is kind of two major problems with it. It's right in the heart of camp is the main thing, right where everything happens. All the tractors backing out and mowers running around is right in where campers are also walking. So that's nerve-wracking for people in the tractors and just not safe. So that's the kind of the big one. Then the other one is the size. We are growing constantly in the equipment we have and the work that we do. So we're out of room in the current shop. It's kind of the two major things.
So I guess I want to ask, Pete mentioned campers right in the heart of camp. And we are planning to expand camp, are we not? So just tell us a little bit about that plan and how that factors in with shop move.
Yeah, so I guess from the ministry side and from the summer camp perspective, there's something that we've been noticing, and that's just running out of camper cabin space capacity in the summer. And then also as we grow the camper capacity, then there's also this need to then grow the program capacity, because if we have all these kids coming out and more kids coming out every week, we need to have more stuff to do with the kids, because there's only so many that can get down the zip line in an hour and so many that can boat in an hour. And so you need to have more rotation groups and more activities for them to do. And so as we look at the program side, the one thing that comes to mind is, would you like me to speak to the camper side or just say it both? So on the camper side, we're trying to figure out creative ways to increase our camper capacity. So for any of you guys that have been around camp for a while, you'll probably know that the 200s of the Heritage Building, which is the building outside of the main lodge, we added an adjoining doors to, how many years back? 5? Sure, let's say 5 years ago. The adjoining doors? That was last year. Last year, we added an adjoining door. Was a long year, guys. So that wasn't 5 years ago. That was 1 year ago we did that. I don't have a script on that, so that's why. But the purpose for that was that for the groups that come in the other 10 months of the year, we can still utilize those rooms as 2 rooms to rent out, because, say, Heritage 201 or 202 and 203 are 2 independent rooms to rent to individuals that are coming on the conference center side of things. But in the summer, we've made these adjoining doors between the rooms now, like how you would get at hotels. There's sometimes those connection points between the rooms. And so when they open, now we have a cabin, because now they can sleep 10 between the 2 rooms, which give us another cabin for the campers. So it was a really creative problem-solving idea that the team did last year in the Heritage Building. And so we thought, why not continue that in the motel rooms? Because the motels are something that we get a lot of utilization out of on the conference side throughout the other off-season months. But for the most part, in the summer months, they've been sitting empty throughout the weeks, and we have an opportunity there to utilize them in the summer and increase camper capacity. So one of the things that we've been looking at doing, and is our plan for December, is to once again make those connection adjoining doors between the rooms, so that way Each floor of the motel then would allow for 10 more camper cabin, or 10, 4 more, I'm saying 4 and saying 10. 4 more cabins per floor would then be available in the summer. So in total, if we convert all of the motel rooms, that gives us 8 more cabins every week of the summer that we can fill with campers. So that's a way that we've decided we can increase our camper capacity, which is great. And then with moving the shop, like I said, we're going to need this program increase then, because 8 more cabins every week is 2 more groups that need to go around and more need for activity blocks. So a way then that we can increase the program is now having the old shop be a space that we can utilize for our programming, which could be something like a craft room for the kids, or all these different ideas that we can brainstorm of different activities that we could put in there and stations, so that that's another rotation group, another thing that we can allow the kids to do, and that just continues to enhance the program.
Pete, give us a synopsis of what needs to happen to make this a reality.
So for the shop, there's 3 stages of, I guess, a building. Money's the first one, I guess. But so we have to do some dirt work on the site to get it ready. There's like some hills and stuff we have to take down, so it's all level, the yard and the buildings shop area. And then there's cement that has to go in, and then a building to be put up. So 3 easy steps.
Missing one.
The power.
Power.
So we have to do an electrical upgrade to the site to kind of the area the shop is going. There's not a major supply of power, which the shop will take. So we have to upgrade power coming into the site, and then that will enable us to build this shop that will be useful for many years to come.
Okay, so for those of you who know the camp well, behind the A-frames, there right now it's just kind of a collection point for some storage of like wood and some scrap and stuff like that. But that's where it's going to go. So they're going to clean out some trees, I believe, open up that area. The nice thing too is that'll be fenced, and then we can actually close off the A-frames so it's not quite as much like let some trees grow back up, so that there isn't an access point through the A-frame cabins into that. So again, this is kind of segregating all that maintenance stuff from the areas where people are and can be, and so there's a safety element to that. So going back to what's in the budget, so we've got $380 in the budget, and we have received already in donations just over half of that total. But as we've been getting quotes for the various components, we know that the cost is going to be more than $380. So we're working through some of those details, and we are going to be providing a bit more of a all-encompassing view of what that's going to look like pretty soon. And we will be starting a capital campaign on that. I hope pretty soon. But yeah, there will be some details forthcoming. I mean, the piece that we do know is the shop is happening, and that'll be a focal point for our December month of giving, and to try to continue the momentum that we've got from donations already received. So.
All right, so that's a lot of information. We're going to try to do this again in the future, and again make it available video recording for you to see. Exciting, that capital project. I hinted at other videos that this shop project is kind of the linchpin in getting a lot of things going and a lot of things happening at camp. More space for campers, safer spaces, as well as just creating a better feel around the main lodge, around the cabins and the dorms and everything. So it's really exciting. We're going to have more information on that coming up. As Mark said, it's going to be a focal point for our December month of giving. We're going to give you a heads up for that. And we're going to come up with some more information, more promotions for that kind of stuff. So look forward to that.